Alright, let me make sure we are alive. Give me 2 quick seconds. Alright, okay, good. Alright, so today we are going to be talking about some of the severe weather that is possible for regions in the Midwest, all the way up here into, here, let me turn that off, sorry. North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and then stretching all the way down through Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, southwestern Michigan, and the Ohio Valley. So we have a 2% tornado risk. This is expanding from basically the Ohio Valley all the way up into southern Wisconsin, little sliver of southwestern Michigan, and pretty much all of Indiana, half of Illinois, Chicago area is included. Indianapolis, Columbus, Cincinnati, Fort Wayne, all in that risk. Up here, we have another little 2% risk. Do I expect much to come from this? No. Um, there is some spin down here on this line specifically, so we could see a couple spin ups possible today. Um, the wind risk is there for both of these areas. 15% wind risk from the Ohio Valley, same area with the tornado risk basically. Um, this one just including a little bit more of an area into Minnesota. Um, and this stretching all the way through basically up to Detroit and past. Have a couple 5% risk down here in Arizona, and then back over here towards the DC area, all the way up into like New Jersey. Hail risk, there is a significant hail risk possible up there in northern Dakota, North Dakota, not northern Dakota, stretching all the way down into southern Michigan. Once again, one of those things we'll just have to see. This is going to be a later tonight threat, but we will definitely see if there is stuff that pops up. Looking into day 2 over here, we have a pretty majorly big marginal risk of severe weather stretching all the way from Wyoming all the way over there into New York. Um, it covers all of Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Nebraska, half of Ohio and Indiana, again, the northern half. And then you have this slight risk over here, basically all of Pennsylvania too. The slight risk is for basically southern Wisconsin, uh, I'd say western Michigan into middle central Michigan. There's a slight risk. And then back over here into Iowa and southeastern Minnesota. Areas in the slight risk are Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Madison, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. And then some of the very major cities in the marginal risk are Phoenix, Arizona, Detroit, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and Tucson. Sorry, my bad. 2% risk for tornadoes. Again, this could possibly get upgraded and or moved over to more towards Michigan again and more towards the Ohio Valley. Um, we're seeing a little bit more spin in the atmosphere possible tomorrow, but there's a pretty good chance we'll see a couple brief spin ups tomorrow, so I wouldn't be surprised if that gets upgraded to a 5%. Wind, 15% for severe wind from basically the slight risk area, nowhere outside of it. And then a 5% hail risk. Once again, same thing as a tornado. We could see a couple spots with some significant hail possible, and that might also get upgraded depending on today's storms and early tomorrow's storms, because it's just very unpredictable weather pattern. Large marginal risk all the way up from Maine into basically southeastern Wyoming again. Same regions, including Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, pretty much all of New York except the New York City area, uh, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, and then literally all of Kansas is included in this. This could get shifted around once again, playing out the weather pattern that takes folded over the next couple of days. Um, and then a very large area for just general thunderstorms that could be possible. Now, looking at a couple of our models, on this model we see this is looking into early, like late Monday night. It'd be like midnight time frame. This is the NAM model. This is reflectivity, so this is like just basically the radar. Um, and you can see there is a pretty defined line over here. This could be a squall line area, and there is a decent chance for tornadoes, like a marginal chance for tornadoes. Apparently, on the latest run of the NAM model, they have a marginal chance for tornadoes. There is a chance for possibly some hail and supercellular storm system. I'm not going to say it's going to be extreme by any means, but there's definitely a chance for severe wind, chance for hail possibly, and a chance, it says very slim chance for tornadoes. But I think that would actually be back one scan. It would be these cells moving into like the Benton Harbor area in Michigan. Let's look at this sounding. Once again, it has these storms forming over here into this line, which will become a squall and move over Michigan and Illinois, Indiana, and once again work its way out before dying out because there is no more instability possible for it. Looking at another model, here's the NAM 3. It has basically the same sort of model run except a little bit southern. This is actually the Cape and shear together, and it shows you where these storms can fire up. You can see where all of it's being eaten up, all the energy's right there, and you can see how it has it playing out like this, but it is definitely an area prime environment for some storms tomorrow to fire up. This is at midnight, so it has the storm system moving a little bit earlier on the NAM 3. Um, Here I'll show you guys what it looks like on the reflectivity. Once again, it has it moving slightly like southern, more towards actually Missouri and Illinois. These are all over the place. Okay, it's so hard to predict for some reason. I mean, it's just one of those times where it's all dependent on what the previous storms do and if the instability and Cape and everything can, rise back up in between these storm systems. But Monday night, there is a good chance for these storms to very much go severe. Um, Here we can look at a couple different model runs now. Here's what the precipitation could possibly be like. This is according to, once again, the NAM. This would be moving into Tuesday. So definitely there you can see where, sorry, right here where these storms will fire up, and there could definitely be some excessive rainfall. Actually, let's look at excessive rainfall outlook. I haven't looked at this in a couple of days, so there's a marginal for today, 5% chance for some excessive rain. Tomorrow there's a 15% chance for excessive rain, and then once again slight areas, and then a huge marginal on day 3 before moving out. I'm really looking at the Midwest for these storms. That's what I'm focusing on right now. So there's definitely a good chance for the slight area for excessive rainfall from basically, I'd say, yeah, basically the Jackson border, Jackson, Michigan, Lansing area, all the way out till like Davenport area. There's a slight risk there. And then you can see in the same area where the storm system is going to be moving out on day 3, and just general thunderstorms will pop up and could cause some issues in southern Michigan and the Ohio Valley, where the storms, the squall line will move out and sort of just stay there for a little bit, sort of hang over the same areas in Ohio, anywhere from like Cleveland, Mansfield, Columbus area. There's a slight risk for some excessive rainfall. Alright, let's look at a couple different things. Let's see what the NAM 3 has for total accumulated precip. Okay, so you can see this one actually has, that's different. Here, give me a second. So early Monday morning it has, which this is why they were talking about the tornado risk being a possibility for southern Michigan. They have a couple of storms out of this QLCS or MCB or whatever it's called. I forgot. Oh, crap. Anyway, they have it coming out of that area and producing some spin, and enough instability still there to cause a couple thunderstorms that could be severe warned throughout mid Michigan, southern Michigan, and over here towards like the Grand Rapids area. And these storms do have a genuine chance at forming into supercellular type of storms. And that would be in the early morning hours, if not late night tonight. Um, and then you see obviously tomorrow night's system move through. So sorry, let's go back. I got sidetracked. This system has decent amounts of rain, up to 3 inches through like Jackson Lansing area possible. Up here by Grand Rapids area, there's also another area of like 3 inches possible. Obviously, this is all super dependent. We could have a big area of like 2 to 3 inches of rain. Um, but once again, the NAM3 and every other model are not lining up. And it's only a day out, which is so crazy to me. I don't think I've seen this as drastic of a change as this. Every model run looks so much different than the one before, so um, definitely playing this and seeing how it looks in the long run of things. Here's what HRRR has. They have the storm system. So we were just talking about the Missouri and Illinois area where the storms could fire up south of Michigan and Indiana and even Wisconsin. This one has the storms firing up in mid-Michigan and causing upwards of 2 to 3 inches of localized heavy rainfall. Some areas of 4 maybe in there. So once again, every single storm, every single model is literally saying different things at this point in time, um, which is unfortunate, but we'll work our way through it. And this one even has 5 inches of rain possible down here in Indiana, so like none of them are matching up really right now. And even as we get closer, they might not align then either. I mean, it's been crazy. You would have thought would have aligned maybe even a day ago, but with the way these storms are so dependent on what the last storm did, definitely there could be some errors and mistakes made. It has this latest one actually forming way later and way south of Michigan and Wisconsin. The main storm system that we are worried about for Wisconsin and Michigan is firing up way south into Indiana now, is what HRRR is saying. Look at the RAP model. RAP model is a little bit shorter term and not as neat. So it's really going to focus on tonight's storms, but I mean, this is really not that great of a model besides like the composite and tornado parameters. Not really worth it to use. You can look at this one. I'll leave it right here actually. See what it says for late tonight. Marginal severe chance on this sounding that I just grabbed for the Jackson Lansing area. Significant hail could be possible with some of these cells that fire up. Here we'll run it out a couple hours. Yeah, significant hail could be possible. I mean, it all is very, very dependent, though, on what the previous storm systems do. So, once again, play it by ear, see what happens. It has severe chances, most likely, possibly some significant hail, even to late Monday night with that extra line that comes through. But everything is so drastically different. Every model is so much different right now. Typically they'll align maybe a day or two closer. Most models will. It's just not happening here. Every model is a little bit different. You can see into some are saying Wisconsin's gonna get hit, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, even into parts of Kentucky. So just play it by ear, see what happens. Even last night, the storm system that impacted parts of Michigan, we were expecting it to go way higher, maybe even to the UP, up into the UP. But as you can see, it actually impacted not in the UP at all. These are just pop-ups that happened late afternoon, so don't worry about this. We were expecting it to go more in form up here in the UP and track its way through like that. It started over here and sort of tracked its way through southern Michigan into northern Indiana, causing some about inch to 2 inches of rain. So nothing's aligning right now. Even hours before that system even happened, it wasn't saying what we thought was going to happen. It's just, it's going to heavily depend on what the previous storm systems do. And even then, it's going to be hard to pinpoint what's going to happen. Look at this Canadian model. This one has a little bit different of a scenario that it sort of minded of its own. More of like a heavy rainfall potential. Obviously, this is a Canadian model that I've rarely ever used, but saying like upwards of 4 or 5 inches of rain possible throughout portions of Michigan on this model. And obviously, don't take random models you find out there and use them as your primary, because this is one that I just sort of picked out. Doesn't even have it being significant, just like a rainfall event. CFS model. Let's see. See if this one even aligns with anything. Okay, it aligns with the low pressure, but moving more towards like northern UP area, Michigan. Obviously, this model is not one you'd want to use for relatively anything severe weather related, besides maybe Cape. Actually, yeah, let's look at some of the Cape values. So, Sunday evening, which it is Sunday now, there could definitely be some building Cape into Wisconsin. Upwards of 5,400, 5,500 joules, maybe even 5,600. It's sort of impressively high Cape throughout that area. Here, I'll actually look at this model. 5,700 joules. A lot. Alright, back. My brother came in. Yeah, 4,600 joules pretty stably over in southern Michigan. Could definitely be enough for severe weather to pop up. Some scattered severe storms into tonight. And then into tomorrow night, the Cape looks a little bit less, on this model, at least on the NAM model, it looks a little bit like it's not going to build up like it should before the severe weather system comes through. Um, but definitely still going to try and eat up the 2,500 joules in front of it of energy. So we'll just have to see. We'll see what happens. Definitely play it by ear and see what happens here. Okay, H triple R. Way more in depth on their Cape values. So once again, into tonight, this one's saying there's going to be way more CAPE that will be eaten up over here in southern Wisconsin, upwards of like 4,000 joules. Could definitely see some severe hail being a risk. These storms really don't have much to eat, so there would not be a severe chance, at least on the HRRR. I mean, it's definitely enough for maybe some severe wind and some severe hail, um, but I wouldn't, on this model at least right now, I wouldn't see any real threat for tornadoes. Yeah, definitely hail could be a possibility. As you can see, like the dip on these, right around the freezing point, I mean, there could definitely be some hail. Actually, let's leave it right here and go to reflectivity. I mean, yeah, it's just gonna all depend on what happens over these next couple systems. You could look at the lightning flash density. So there's definitely some areas where there could be upwards of 10 to 15 flashes of lightning per 5 minutes. So lightning could be there, ground lightning, a lot of that. We'll see. Significant tornado parameter. This is one thing I haven't really looked at. I mean, yeah, these storms tonight wouldn't have much in the way of anything significant for tornadoes to really eat up. Tomorrow night is where you could see definitely some more of the significant tornado parameter, with some of the, just like ramping up stuff. Some pockets of like four, uh, some pockets of like five maybe over there into Illinois. So tomorrow could definitely see a couple spin up tornadoes. Um, Look at the supercell composite. Into tonight, that builds before these storms actually eat it up over Michigan area. There's definitely some supercell composite to be had this afternoon into evening hours, and then tomorrow night there is a lot more supercell composite, upwards of 50 on the supercell composite. So definitely a pretty good area for significant hail possible over here in Illinois on the HRRR. Yeah, tomorrow, on the NAM model again, they're saying there's a good chance for tornadoes in southern Wisconsin on the NAM model, although the NAM model always goes a little bit extreme, but values up to 55 here, 56 and 59. Okay, wow. That's actually impressive. Whenever you see that sort of like that C on this graph right here, that is indicative of tornadic weather possible or any severe weather, really. Wonder what it looks like on reflectivity. I know I just looked at it, but these models update pretty quickly. The storms will. Oh yeah, there could be, for sure, isolated supercells on this model could become a problem with possible tornado warnings and tornadoes on the ground in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois near Chicago. Could definitely also see in Michigan a couple cells pop up with the tornado risk. Gotta love how every single model doesn't agree. It's always awesome when that happens. Yeah, a little C here in southern Michigan. Into Monday night. See, this model even has these storms firing up more and just going eastern. Definitely, if this model holds true, could see some pretty significant severe weather in southern Michigan. And also that C, yeah, most models are agreeing, at least for this scan. There's a couple models, the NAM and the NAM3 HRRR are sort of agreeing, so let's see what this model says. This is just more like a temperature model, I think. Whatever. The wrap actually just got done. Awesome. We can look at what this model's going to say. Never mind. The wrap is actually just now getting started, apparently. I don't know. The GFS model, I don't think is going to agree right now. See, the GFS model thinks there's not going to really be a linear type of storm, so they're saying it could be more of a tornado threat in southern Michigan and northern Illinois. But none of them are agreeing, besides the NAM, NAM3, and HRRR, which is sort of good. That's the first real sign of anything agreeing. Um, but GFS, RAP, and a couple other models are still not agreeing with it. Let's click some of these random models. Let's test some of these random ones out. Okay, I can tell you this isn't what's going to happen. Alrighty. Oh, that's cool. It has these storms firing up in southern Indiana. So these models obviously don't trust every model. I mean, I'd say some of the main models for severe weather purposes: HRRR, NAM, NAM3, GFS. GFS is even a stretch. And RAP, of course. Let's get a sounding. Marginal tornado. Southern Michigan. Severe hail possible down here. I mean, honestly, I could see this going in two areas. I could see this going here. Well, here, let me show you. Okay. I could see the storm system moving either starting up here and tracking more like this. I could see it tracking starting, let's say, like here, for instance, and tracking sort of like this. But what the models are saying for some reason is it's going to start here and track southernward, even though it's supposed to be east-southeast motion, so something like this, which doesn't really make sense. Overall, I still think the main concerning area would be something drawn out like this. Maybe a little extension, not that far. Like that. Minnesota's a stretch, I get it. So, something like this area. Could definitely see something severe down there. I think the main area of concern would be somewhere in here. Let's see actually what the NAM is saying again. See, the NAM has this starting. Okay, so the NAM looks something like this. The NAM's doing this. It's starting, forms over here, and it sort of expands out with some discrete cells moving into like the Chicago area and then becoming more of a linear system moving like this. So with the NAM model, I'm going to say the main area of concern with this, something like this. So far we had one model that looks like this, and then one model that looks something like this. What I will do actually, draw out something in a second once we look at HRRR NAM3. Oh, HRRR is about to reset. NAM3 then. That system just doesn't even make sense. See it sounding. Love how it says nothing, but you can literally see there is a good area here where there's literally going to be something. So these models just aren't making sense. I could see this being a possibility, but it's, once again, the NAM3 is sort of weird. It's saying it's going to form over here in Iowa and sort of do something like this and just track along before dissipating somewhere out in this area. I don't know. Models just aren't lining up the moment. They should align a little bit closer as it goes. So far, so now looking at all the refreshes, my overview now, I'm going to say it could look a little bit more of something like this. This is the area that I think we could most definitely see something in this way of severe weather. Now we're going to go into a little bit of detail. One model has it forming in this area and moving sort of like that. One model has it forming here, moving more towards like that. One model has it forming here, moving more towards like that. All three models have something in the way, at least, of a, it forming in this general area. So, I think anywhere in southwestern to south Michigan, you could definitely see some severe weather. Northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, sorry, and through the Chicago and then area, and then southeastern Wisconsin. Definitely could see some issues. But once again, these are where the models are lining up right now. Still very huge area of uncertainty throughout here. But for sure, something is gonna happen in this area right here, this box. Path is just where we're at. Well, find out as it gets closer. We'll also look at that HRRR in a second. Overall, if I were drawing the SPC, I would do something like this. Marginal area would be, this is for Monday night. Something like that. And can I fill? Okay, how do I fill? Anyway, we'll just do this, whatever. I need to turn opacity. Awesome. That would be the marginal area. I think the slide area should be shifted a little bit more towards something like this. And then as models get closer, this is obviously just me goofing off a little bit. Definitely, oh my god. Maybe even a moderate wind risk somewhere in this corridor. I don't know, this is just what, you know, obviously just an idea. Could also use that for a thumbnail or something. While we wait for some models to come in, why don't we do this? I'm gonna make a thumbnail for another video I might be making today. Awesome. One thing we can do instead is we'll go like this, actually. We'll take a